So you see, apparently it seems that wherever you start, you can actually, if you start at some states, you can actually go to all states. Whereas if you start at some other states, you may not go to other, all the remaining states, right? For example, if you start here at this, at this node, so you can actually reach all the states, right? So there are paths. But however, if you start say here in this node, so you may not be able to reach any of these 3 states ever, right? So these structures, they are called if you consider these substructures of this Markov chain. So if I consider this Markov chain, so here see, in the long run, so when we are trying to classify the Markov chains, we are basically looking at the long run properties, right? So in the long run, you can see that these states, all these states are reachable, right, from any other state in this subset. So we call this as irreducible. So it cannot be further reduced, right? So this is irreducible. So similarly, this subset, if you consider, so this is also irreducible. Fine. But whereas if you look at this, the whole chain, right, you see that not all states are reachable in the long run. So the Markov chain as a whole is not irreducible, right? So there are reducible structures. Okay. So this is the property of a chain. So whenever we say irreducibility of a Markov chain, so it is a property of the chain, right? Now there are certain properties of the state also. So irreducibility is a property of the chain. So this is a property of a chain. Fine. Now within the chain there can be many states, as we see here. Now we are trying to classify the different states. So that is the property of state. So now we are interested in the property of state. Right. Now we are defining two terms here. Can someone start recording?
It's already started.
Okay. So property of state. So we are defining two terms, and we'll see, what is the significance of these, terms with examples later. So one is called recurrent state, and another one is transient state. Okay. So what is recurrent? What is the English meaning of recurrent? So a state can be either recurrent or transient. Okay. So from the English term itself, you can understand that recurrent means it reoccurs, right? Recurs. Fine. So the same state can be visited multiple times in the long run. So these are all long run properties of the chain, of the state. Okay. So recurrent means it's a sort of a permanent state, which means these state can be visited multiple number of times, infinite number of times, in the chain. Right? Whereas transient means, as you see, the term itself, transient, which means it exists for some time and then it disappears. Okay. So these states are there, which can be visited only a couple of times, a number of times, and then eventually they will go away from the chain, which means they will not be visited again. Okay. So in order to understand this, let me construct an example and try to see what is the recurrent and transient states. So a simple example. So this is a Markov chain. Okay. So can someone tell me whether it is first of all as a chain, whether it is reducible or irreducible chain?
It is reducible.
Reducible. Why?
We will go and get stuck in 5.
5 or 7, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not even, no, not 7. Yeah, only 5. But
Uh,
even
6, 7.
yeah, 6,
6,
7.
7.
So even this, if you consider this part 6, 7, so then you will get stuck, right? So like this, you can also find some other structures where you can actually get stuck. But so this is clearly this is not irreducible, right? So okay, so chain property is understood. Now about the state. How I am defining recurrent? That it can be visited infinite number of times in the long run, right? So can you now tell me that what are the states that are recurrent here and what are the states that may be visited couple of times, maybe some number of times, n number of times, and then eventually they will not be visited ever again. So when I am talking about these, properties, we are essentially looking at the long run behavior, which means after 1,000 steps or after 1 lakh steps or after 1 crore steps, what is going to happen, right? So you think from that perspective and tell me which states will be visited always and which states will be visited only a certain number of times and then never visited again.
So only the state 2 is transient, means it will be visited only once and then after that it won't be visited again. Rest of the states we can visit how many times if we want.
Okay, so let me take an example. This suppose I start from 1, right? Okay, fine. Then I go to 4 because there is some probability. So I go to 4 and then I come to 3 in the third step. Fourth step I remain at 3. Fifth step I again come back to 1, right? Then I go to 2, right? And then I go to 5. So once I'm at 5, then I'm stuck here. So I'll just keep keep myself here, right, in all the further iterations, isn't it? So is it a valid walk? Is it a valid random walk for this chain? This is a valid random walk, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So in this random walk, now can you extend this random walk to again visit say node 3? Is it possible?
No, sir.
No. So then what is this? How would you label node 3? Is it recurrent or transient? So if the process takes this walk, which is possible, which is a feasible solution, right? It may take. So after 1,000 or 1 lakh steps or 1 crore steps, can you really revisit node 3? State 3?
No.
Right? No. So this is transient. So apparently, from the graph, it seems that, okay, 3 should not be transient because you see this, you can always go back to 1. But actually, these 2 is enforcing 3 to be transient because this 3 is actually connected to 5 through 2, isn't it? So 2 is of course transient. There is no doubt about it. But all the nodes that are connected to 2 will automatically be transient, isn't it? Unless it is absorbing. So similarly, this 1, this 4, they'll automatically be transient. So this is also transient, this is also transient. What about 6?
Recurring.
recurrent. Why? Because even if you say look at infinite horizon of time, there will always be a possibility to come back to 6, right? Because of this arc. So it will go to 7 and then it may remain at 7 or it may come back. So there is always a probability to come back to 6 in the long run, right? So this is recurrent. Similarly, 7 is also recurrent. And 5 is, of course, all that absorption, absorbing states will be recurrent. Not necessarily. Sorry, absorbing state, we have still not defined absorbing. So we define the absorbing state, say, so 7 is an absorbing state because this is 1. This probability, this self-looping probability is 1, right? So we call it absorbing state. So all absorbing states by definition, by its property will be recurrent. But 7 is not an absorbing state because 7 has a self-loop as well as a these arc to 6. So it may be say here 0.5, this is 0.5, or this is 0.4, 0.6. So 7 is not absorbing. But if you look at this chain 6, 7, so this is an absorbing, set of states, right? So this is a sort of, if you only consider this part, so this is an irreducible chain, isn't it? This is an irreducible chain, and you see, in an irreducible chain, all the states are recurrent. So all these definitions, they are sort of interrelated, right? So when we define some property of the chain, we use this term, whether the chain is reducible or irreducible, right? So we define what is irreducibility. Now we come to the property of the state. So we define these two terms, recurrent and transient, to identify two different behavior, right? And we observe that if the chain is irreducible, which ideally means any state should be accessible from any other state, which automatically means all the states of an irreducible chain should be recurrent, right? So when you have transient state, you can automatically say that it is not irreducible. Right? Are you getting my point, or is it getting confusing?
So can you repeat once?
So when I define the irreducibility of a chain, how do I define it?
We shouldn't get stuck in any states.
Exactly. What does it mean? Alternatively, what does it mean? That any state should be approachable in the long run. So not getting stuck within a subset, what does it mean? That any state of the chain should be accessible from any other state. This is the alternative meaning. This is the interpretation of that. Do you agree or not?
Yes,
no.
sir.
Yes. So when I say that for an irreducible chain, you should not get caught within a subset of a state. Alternatively, we can say that any state can be approached from any other state. Okay. Now, if a state is approachable from any other state in the long run, we call that state as what? Recurrent. That is the property of the state, recurrent. So if you combine these two definitions, you get this property that for an irreducible Markov chain, all the states should be recurrent. Logical deduction, right? Have you got this or not? That for an irreducible Markov chain, all the states should be recurrent.
Yes, sir, got it.
Yes. So what is the transient state? So transient state can be visited couple of times, a fixed number of times, but then in the long run it will never be visited again, right? So mathematically we define this transient state as limit. So if I want to define a transient state J, transient state J, right? say j is here, this 2. So how do I define it? Limit n tends to infinity, right? Pij n state probability, right? From any state I to this transient state j should be 0 for all state I. What does it mean? So when you look at the long run behavior, n state probability where the n tends to infinity, right? Then this state probability from any other state I. So this probability Pij is what? That you are visiting j from a node I, right? So that probability is 0. So this is the definition, mathematical definition of a transient state j. If it is not 0, then it is recurrent. If it has some positive value, then it is recurrent. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Fine. Now, if you these classifications are important, because sometimes we make some fault in the model. For example, the taxi problem that we are considering, right? Airport to hotel. I mean, 3 states were there: airport, hotel, and downtown, right? Now, if you look at the long-term behavior of the chain, so you should ideally define the chain in a way, define the transition probabilities in a way that in the long run, so even after making 1,000 trips or even 1 lakh trips, all these states, that means the airport, downtown, or the hotel, can be accessed from any other state, right? That should be ideally the situation, isn't it? So after collecting the data and after putting these, transition diagram, if you see that you are getting a transition diagram which says, okay, it is not irreducible, right? You are getting some reducible structure. That means there is some problem in data collection. So you have a knowledge of the problem, right? So these states we are mathematically putting some 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this is abstract. It has no meaning to us. But when you are modeling a problem as a Markov chain, then you know what do they mean. What is 1, what is 2, what is 3, what is 4. And from the knowledge of the problem, you know what should be ideally the case. Should the Markov chain be a reducible chain or an irreducible chain? And also regarding the state also, should it be recurrent or should it be transient in the long run? So that understanding you get from the knowledge of the problem, right? And then you can verify with the data that is being collected and the transition diagram that you are getting out of that data, right? And then you can match that whether your knowledge, understanding of the problem matches with the data that is collected. Okay, because there are sometimes errors in data collection. Okay, errors in modeling the problem. So this is required for that purpose. Most of the practical Markov chains are irreducible and all the states are recurrent. Most practical Markov chains, but there are some chains which exhibit other properties also, which we'll discuss. For example, this absorbing state. So there are actually some practical Markov chains examples available, where a state can be absorbing in nature. The moment you have an absorbing state, the whole chain becomes what? Reducible, right? Not irreducible. And remaining all the states will be transient the moment you have an absorbing state, right? So we will discuss these issues. So right now, I think I'm confident that I could make you understand about these two properties. One is the property of the chain, reducible versus irreducible, and the property of the state, recurrent versus transient, and why they are important. So when we are, and one thing you must, remember that all these properties are defined in long run behavior. Okay. So coming to next, another property of the chain. So like we have discussed this reducible and irreducible as a property of the chain. Similarly, a Markov chain can be, this one is very simple, finite or infinite. Okay. So finite versus infinite Markov chain. Now, you know, from the term itself, you can understand what we mean by finite and infinite. So what is an example, say, of an infinite Markov chain? Say it looks like this, right? So I can define some state 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, like this, you know, and there are some probabilities, say P, and then this is Q, and again this is P, this is Q, so like this. So this is an example of infinite Markov chain. This one example I can cite for this is called gambler's ruin. Suppose you are betting, right? So you have participated in some gambling activity, which is illegal and unethical. But suppose, you know, hypothetically, that you have engaged yourself in a gambling, right? So you win 1 rupee, or say, you know, even 100 rupees. If you win, and if you lose, then you have to give the other person 100 rupees, right? Now this Markov chain represents your wealth at different epochs. So you play that game multiple times. So these states give you the, so for example, 1 means 1 into 100. That means you have now 100 rupees in your wallet, right? Similarly, 4 means 400 rupees you have in your wallet. Okay. So, and P is the winning probability and Q is the probability of loss. P plus Q is what is P plus Q?
1.
1, right? P plus Q is 1. Fine. So now you can understand that if you consider this gambling, and suppose the timeline is open, you can gamble as long as possible, you know. So if you represent it as a Markov chain, the wealth, the state of wealth for a person, for a particular player, then it is actually ideal. Mathematically, it is an infinite process. But practically, it doesn't happen, right? Practically, you cannot just, if you take part in a gamble, you cannot become infinitely rich. It doesn't happen. There is a, I mean, why doesn't it happen? Because of these probabilities P and Q. So first, say you go to 0 to 1, then 1 to 2, then you again come back to 1, then you go to 2, then 3. So you just, you know, do back and forth, back and forth. So ideally, you do not get, I mean, practically you do not get infinite wealth. But if you want to represent it in a mathematical form, in a Markov chain, it has to be represented as an infinite Markov chain, because infinite number of states are available, right? So this is an example of infinite process, right? Now, can you tell me, for an infinite Markov chain, so this is the property of a chain, that is infinite. We have seen example of finite Markov chain, or this taxi example. That is an example of finite. The number of states are limited, right? So that is finite. For finite chain, we have already defined what is recurrent, what is transient, and all these things. Right? Now, for infinite chain, the definition remains the same. Now, can you tell me, for the, if I consider this infinite chain, what will be the nature of these states? Is 0, 1, 2, 3? Is it recurrent or transient? Think deeply. You already know the definition of recurrent, right, and transient. So in the long run, a recurrent state will be visited with certainty, right? Whereas a transient state will go away with time. So now tell me, for an infinite process, how do you label these states 0, 1, 2, 3, 4? Is it recurrent or transient? So I'm giving you 1 minute of time. You think about it and give me the answer. Yes, what is the answer?
Here, every state, at least by definition, every state is recurrent.
Very good. Because you know, so after 1,000 times also you can be at any of these states, right? So even if you say accumulate 10,000 crores, right? You can always come back to state 0, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So by definition, all the states in this process, in this particular infinite process, are recurrent. But if you can also add some more insights to it if you look at the probability values P and Q. So for example, if say I'm taking 3 cases, case 1 is P less than Q, case 2 is P greater than Q, and case 3 is P equal to Q. Okay. First is P less than Q. So what does it mean? P less than Q means probability of winning is less than the probability of losing. So what does it mean? So even if you go forward couple of couple of iterations, there is always a drift towards left, isn't it? Because
Yes,
probability of loss is higher, so there is a drift towards left. So ideally you can say that, okay, if P is less than Q, so even if you go forward, you will always come back. So all the states here can be thought of as recurrent, because you can even come back to 0, 1, 2 also, right? But whereas if you say P is significantly higher than Q, suppose, okay, what happens then? So it may actually push you only forward you may come back and then again go forward. And actually in the long run, if P is greater than Q, so actually in the long run, you may end up toward the end, fag end of the, I mean, there is no end because it's infinite, but significantly away from the initial states, like 0, 1, 2, 3. Huh? So in those cases, some states can actually become transient. 0, 1, 2 may never be, approached again, right? So some states can exhibit the behavior of transient property, right? So I'm only talking about the states of the initial states here. So if P less than Q, then these initial states are, can be expected as recurrent. If P is greater than Q, these initial states, they may exhibit transient property. And if say P is equal to Q, then if P is equal to Q, so first case is the drift towards left, second case is drift towards right, and then P is equal to Q means there is no drift. So this is the ideal case where you can say even if you have forwarded your thing 100,000 iteration, I mean 1000, your say state is 1000, you can always come back to 0 or 1, right? But you do not know when that will happen. It may take long time to come back, but there is always a chance to come back. Okay, so these states where the mean recurrence time is infinite, this is called mean recurrence time. Mean recurrence time. Recurrence time is the time period between two recurrences, two visits, right? So when mean recurrence time is infinite, then we call it a null state. So this is called null state. So if you think of say 1, so this can be a null state. It can be termed as a null state if P equal to Q. So which means that in the long run, it may take long time to come back to 1 if P equal to Q, right? But there is a chance. There is a chance it will always come back. It may always come back. So we call it null state. Now, if P is significantly less than Q in the case 1, always drift towards left, then these initial sum states will be recurrent. Whereas, the higher states like say thousands or more, they can be transient. They may never be reached also. Similarly, if P is significantly higher than Q, then these initial states will exhibit transient property. Okay. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Any question? So whenever now onwards, whenever you are playing, you are engaging in a gambling activity, okay, and if you are a mathematician, then if you can somehow estimate this P and Q, probability of winning and probability of loss from the past data or from some other source, right? And more accurate you can estimate these probabilities, you can take a decision more accurately that when to stop the game. Okay, fine. Now again, so far we have seen two properties of a chain. One is reducible versus irreducible, and then finite versus infinite. Then the third property is periodicity of a chain, right? So periodic process, periodic versus aperiodic process. So you are well aware of this term period, right? So period means is a what is the definition of period? Periodicity? A fixed interval of time after which it comes back to the same state. That is the periodicity of a state, right? And when you call a process as periodic, when all the states are periodic and having the same periodicity, then you can also call the process as periodic with that periodicity. So let me draw an example. So 5 states, and you have a transition diagram like this. Okay. Now you consider any of the states, say there is a state 3. So you see that if you are at 3, then you have no other option but to go to 4, then go to 2, right? Then from 2 you can either go to 5 or come back to 3. If you come back to 3, so you will be at 3 after say 3 steps, right? If you do not come back to 3, what is the next option? You go to 5. So that is 1, 2, 3, then 1, 4, then again back at 2, right? 5, and then again you can go back to 3. So that is will be on the 6th. So first option is on the 3rd, n equal to 3 you can come back. The next option is n equal to 6, but you may not choose to come back. You can still go back to 5 and then again 1. So again the next term will come at n equal to 9, right? So all these epochs, so these are all epochs, right? So these epochs give you a clear indication that it is in multiples of 3, and in those epochs only you can come back to the state 3, not in any other epoch. Do you agree or not?
Yes,
is
sir.
it possible to come back at n equal to 2? No, right? So only at these epochs you can come back, but you may not actually come back, but there is a possibility to come back. There is a probability to come back, right? Right? So here we see that so we call this is the periodicity. So we define periodicity T such that the epochs at which that state can be visited at T, 2T, 3T, like this. Okay. So mathematically, if I want to write it, then for a particular state J, then Pjj, nth state probability will be equal to 0, right? When n is not divisible by T, right? Where T is the periodicity. The nth step probability of coming back to the same state is 0 when n is not divisible by T. And when it is divisible, when it is in the multiples of T, then that probability will be something greater than 0, right? So that is how we define the periodicity T. So is this clear from this example? What is the periodicity of a state and what is a periodic process? And interestingly, you see here, because this chain, this Markov chain, is it reducible or irreducible? First of all, tell me. Is it reducible or irreducible?
Irreducible.
Irreducible. And I have identified this state 3 having periodicity 3, right? Then if it is irreducible and having a periodic state 3, then I can safely say that all the other states are also periodic and having the same periodicity 3. This is the beautiful property of irreducible Markov chain. If any of the state is not periodic, then the whole, all the other states will be aperiodic and the chain will be aperiodic. If in only one state is periodic, then all the remaining states will be periodic and the whole chain will be periodic. Very easy to verify this. How to verify? Suppose I add another Moore arc here with some probability, right? So currently you see this 225, 225, it may be, say, I'm just giving some random number, 0.4, and this is 0.6, and this is, so this will be 1, and this is, say, 0.3, 0.7, no, sorry, 0.7, this is 1, Does this make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now can you tell me whether this state 3 is periodic or not? Is there any periodicity of state 3?
No, sir.
No. So right now, so it can actually reach, say, in 1, 2, 3, then again 4, 5, then 6, 7, 8, 9. But is it disturbing the periodicity?
Yes, sir. If you see, like if you go from 3 to 4, then 4 to 2, then 2 to 1, and then
2 to 1.
1 to 2, and then return to 3. Then we'll return in 5 steps. So
5 steps, right. So it is now, it has destroyed the periodicity of the chain, right? So you see now you can also say that no other state is periodic. You see, it has destroyed all the periodicity of the system. So it is an aperiodic. It is now an aperiodic chain, right? So we have seen an example of a periodic chain. So if one state is periodic for an so this property holds only for irreducible chain. And all practical chains are irreducible, right? So that's why we are calling, we are focusing so much on irreducibility. So for an irreducible chain, if one state is periodic, then the entire chain is periodic. All the other states are periodic. Same observation holds for aperiodic process. And we have shown it with example. Clear up to this point? So now, can you tell me whether this property of periodicity is actually desired or not, or does it actually happen in practice or not?
doesn't happen. Very tough to happen actually.
Very tough to happen. Unless it is very exceptional case, then only it happens. But otherwise, it doesn't happen, the periodicity. And in fact, mathematically, it is very difficult to understand also, right? For example, you are saying that in the fifth step probability that it will go from 2 to 3, will be 0, right? So what you are saying that P33 at fifth step is 0, whereas P33 at the 6th step has some positive value. Some positive value is there, right, greater than 0. And again, in the 7th step it becomes 0. So it is very erratic behavior, which is very difficult to observe in practice. So usually practical Markov chains are not periodic, but some, again, as I say, some specific and very exceptional cases may be there. So from the practical perspective, we will only focus on aperiodic chains. So irreducible chain, aperiodic. And then of course, if it is irreducible and finite and aperiodic, then all the states will be recurrent. So next is from a practical perspective, practical Markov chains. It is also called ergodic Markov chain. When it is irreducible, recurrent, positive, that means there is no null state, and aperiodic. This recurrent and positive, we can replace it with finite. So we can say irreducible, finite, and aperiodic Markov chain. If you have all these three properties, then we call it a practical Markov chain or ergodic Markov chain. This is a more technical term, ergodic Markov chain. So from the next class onwards, we will only consider this ergodic Markov chain and study the properties of this ergodic Markov chain and try to see that how we apply this ergodic Markov chain in modeling different real world processes. Any question?
No, sir.
Okay. So there is some issue in this class test 1 regarding these marks of some one question. So we have adjusted the marks, and if you have any, if you see that you deserved something and you didn't get it, then you please contact the TA directly, because he has checked the papers. So you can first approach him, and then if you feel that problem is still not solved, then only you contact him. Okay. And you have all done this integer programming and TSP assignment?
Yes, sir.
So now I think we should be having another class test, because in the last class test we covered only up to duality, I think, and sensitivity analysis. So transportation problem, assignment problem, integer programming, and the traveling salesman problem, right? So this I'll take this class test maybe on this coming Friday. So I'll share the solution of this integer programming assignment also, so that you can verify your approaches. Okay. So Friday 9 o'clock will be the second class test, and the syllabus is transportation problem, assignment problem, integer programming, and traveling salesman problem. Okay.
So you mean this Friday or next Friday?
No, this Friday. Is it okay this Friday? Because you have already done that assignment, so you are. I hope that you are sort of updated with that thing. So I don't think you require more time to prepare. Do you require more time to prepare? You just completed that assignment, right? So I'll just give the solution so that you can verify what you have done, whether your approach has been correct or not, and then you can appear for the class test.
Sir, we have another subjects class test also, sir, this weekend. So it will be difficult this week. It will loaded for us.
It's the
Oh, no.
same for us. So if you can keep next Wednesday, it will be great actually.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir.
Okay, fine. I'll do that. Wednesday, next Wednesday then. And now I wanted to have some industry lectures actually. I have, some contacts in industry who, who work in senior positions in those industries, and they apply these operations research tools in solving some industry problems. So because of the schedule, and all, I think if I arrange lectures in the evening hours, say after 7 or after 8, will it be fine with you? Say 1 hour industry lecture on the application of work. Will it be okay with you? Say 7 to 8 on any day.
Weekdays it would be fine, at least for me. For others,
Yes, sir. On,
Weekdays.
on Tuesday and Wednesday, I have class.
Sir, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, I have class from 6:30 to 7:30, sir.
We schedule it after 8 then. Okay.
Okay.
After 8 or 8:30. So it will give you some exposure to, how the industry people are solving what problems and what kind of problems do they face in their respective industries. And I think it is necessary because learning the theory and mathematics and the algorithms, so this is all fine, but somewhere you have to also connect to the real world problems. So whatever assignments and all these things I'm giving, these are all, they are called textbook examples, textbook assignments. Their scope is limited, right? Just to train you, just to give you some initial exposure. But finally, when you go to industry, you have to handle very complex problems, which will be nowhere near to these textbook examples or textbook assignments. So you should be aware of such problems and approaches to solve it. Okay. Thank you.